What's up, guys? Sean Fowler, host of Speak Up Sports here. I'm glad we can, continue to make some great content. It's May 18th, 2022, and we're switching up today. We're talking about basketball. Last few episodes have been about football, mostly the NFL, a couple boxing here and there. But we want to switch it up, and we see in the title is who's the playoff king of the NBA. Now, every time I think of king in NBA, I think of the guy LeBron James, King James, as they like to call him as well. One of the best players of all time in the NBA. I got him ranked number 2 or 3 behind Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. But hey, that's a discussion for another day. But the playoff king right now is what I'm talking about. Who's out of these final 4 teams? The Mavericks, the Warriors, the Heat, the Celtics. Who's the playoff king? Who's gonna remain or who's gonna sit in that? Who's going to sit in that king seat and reign over the NBA and reign supreme, I should say. That's what I was trying to say. So it's final 4 teams, and we understand that these superstars are guys like Luka Doncic, one of the best players in the NBA that's averaging over 28 points a game, 9 rebounds, and also 8 assists. Steph Curry, who's also averaging over 25 points a game. We know he's the best shooter of all time. And the list goes on and on. Jason Tatum, who's averaging over 26 points a game. Jimmy Buckets, who I've said he's very underrated. We seen him 2 years ago in the NBA Finals against the Los Angeles Lakers, who had a 40-point triple-double without making one 3-point shot. And he pretty much did again against the Boston Celtics last night, which we're going to touch on. So, again, who's the playoff king of the NBA? I'm really excited to see. It's a different type of year because, hey, the Los Angeles Lakers aren't there. We talked about the Brooklyn Nets a few weeks ago. They didn't even win a game against the Boston Celtics. They were eliminated out of the first round, so they're not here. So again, the stars are changing, but they're still superstars. Still the NBA, still the best of the best, and it's gonna be some new faces of the NBA. So all that being said, I want to talk first about the game last night. The game last night to me it was amazing, and that's the game last night was the Boston Celtics going up against the Miami Heat. For me personally, I picked the Boston Celtics to lose this series. I think the Miami Heat will win, and I just feel like for the Heat, I think they're just overall they just got more depth. They have more depth. You have Jimmy Butler. Kyle Lowry's out. He's still with the injury. They're starting point guard. Tyler Hero, the 6th man of the year. Bam Adebayo, one of the best centers in the game. You also have, again, I already mentioned Tyler Hero. You just got a lot of depth back there. Victor Oladipo, a former All-Star, a few years ago before his injuries. And again, Eric Spoelstra, you got to give him credit. To me, I said on the other side as well. The other broadcast on the Jessica Network, who I work with. I said Eric Spoelstra should arguably be Coach of the Year. We always talk about the players to the teams who doesn't have success once LeBron leaves. He's been to NBA Finals once LeBron left. I understand that was a couple years ago. LeBron's been going for the Heat, for a while now, but he still made the playoffs numerous times after LeBron's left. He reached the NBA Finals facing against LeBron James a couple years ago in the bubble. And again, they're in the Eastern Conference once again. They are the number 1 seed. So I think we have to give the Miami Heat some more credit. A lot of people, they're not really believers in them. They're kind of under the radar. Jimmy Butler, like I mentioned, I'm going to talk about him a lot this segment and even more in some other segments. But I think he's severely underrated. Like I said, 21 points a game, about 6 rebounds, 5 assists. He's one of the best two-way defenders as well, two-way players, I should say. He can play defense. He can steal the ball. He's not necessarily the best. He doesn't attempt the most 3-point shots, but he understands his game. That's not his game. His game is getting in the mid-range. His game is hitting those, although there might be 2-point shots, they're still clutch when you need it to be. And, he's just a stud. He's a baller. So that's why I feel like with the Miami Heat, I just feel like they have more grit. They're seasoned more. Again, the Boston Celtics, they've been here for a while. I'm not going to lie. Jason Tatum, Jason Brown. I wasn't really sold on them the last few years. I just felt like they needed that extra piece. Excuse me, but that extra piece was Kyrie Irving. We see when Kyrie left. When he was hurt, I believe they made to the Eastern Conference Finals against LeBron James and Cleveland Cavaliers. I think it was 2017 that year, and they went to a Game 7. So we've seen the type of potential that this team had. However, it does seem like I see why they got a Kyrie, because you have this talent. And it's like if you just have that veteran, that guy that can close the deal, this Boston team could definitely be a finals contender. But again, I feel like they were just as good without Kyrie. Maybe he wasn't that piece necessarily that they technically needed, or it just didn't gel right. So I give the Celtics credit. Jason Tatum is definitely, I wasn't really sold on him yet. I feel like people overrate him a little bit too much for the last couple of years, but he's definitely improved this year. Like I said, he has over 27 points a game. Jaylen Brown 23 points a game. Those are it's that 1-2 combo, and they just look more confident. They seem like no matter what the score is, we're always going to be able to compete. We're always going to be able to compete, and we're never out of the game. So this is a couple of highlights from the game last night. Okay, cool. I got it. So this is some of the highlights again from the game last night. The Miami Heat versus the Boston Celtics, making that clutch 3-point shot. Again, it's the third quarter, but this is when the game really changed for the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics, because the Celtics were up 13, I believe, in the second quarter. We see that great block by Bam Adebayo and Jaylen Brown. I ended up recording that too, posted it to my Instagram because it was a great block. And yeah, I'm going for the Heat. And guys, to be honest, I'm not gonna lie, I might sound a little biased, but I'm not the biggest Celtics fan. Again, there goes that great mid-range shot by Jimmy Butler, but I'm not the biggest Celtics fan. You know what I mean? I'm a Lakers fan, so I can't stand the Celtics. I always want them to lose. But again, Jimmy Butler again with the steal, pumps fake, shoots it, gets it in. So again, this is why I just picked the Heat. I just feel like they have tough defense. Jimmy Butler with another steal, gets it in the hoop again. I'm gonna stop it there. But guys, I just feel like in order for the Heat to really continue to win, a lot of people point out that Marcus Smart and Al Horford. Marcus Smart is I believe, runner-up or probably the defensive player of the year for the Boston Celtics. He didn't play last night, and he's been one of the leaders on the team. He's been a Celtic, I believe, for probably the last 7 to 8 years. He's been on the Celtics for a while. He's kind of like their glue. He's a veteran presence, and also Al Horford, who's had a career game against the Brooklyn Nets, I believe, or it was against the Milwaukee Bucks. I might add. I think he had over his first 30-point career playoff game he had against the Milwaukee Bucks. He's been really clutch for them as well. He's a big man, not necessarily known as the most physical guy, but he can definitely have that veteran presence in the locker room and still compete and make the contested shots when need be. So Al Horford, he didn't play last night. I think he has COVID. Like I said, Marcus Smart is still dealing with the injury. Those two players didn't play. So a lot of people are saying as well, if the Miami Heat had to deal with them, they would have lost. Well, that's not necessarily the case, because we've seen what they also have the starting point guard, Kyle Lowry, out. And although he's been out for the last 2 weeks, he's still a champion. He understands what it takes to be a champion. He went to the NBA Finals as well. He went to the NBA Finals as well. With the Toronto Raptors when they end up being the Golden State Warriors. I'm seeing you guys' comments and everything on here. Okay, cool. Again, if you guys want to say anything when it comes towards these topics, or you have any questions, let me know. But yeah, so going back to the Miami Heat, I just feel like they have the better coach. They have the more seasoned coach. I understand Brad Stevens isn't a Boston Celtics coach no more. He's in the front office. I can't pronounce the current coach's name. I don't want to get it wrong. I think it's the brother, a black man who's running the office there in Boston. But he's been a great coach this year. He arguably could be coach of the year because this is his first year as a head coach. Definitely for the Boston Celtics. Obviously, this is his first time around, and he's got that team a lot different. They seem more intense on the defensive side of the basketball. They seem more aware of things. Their defense has really stepped up this year. But again, just because I got the Heat winning this finals, or making the finals, it doesn't mean that this series is going to be a cakewalk. We understand 2 years ago, even though it was the bubble, that the Heat they had, I think they went 6 or 7 games. I think it was 6 games against the Boston Celtics, and it was a grudge match. It was tough. They were biting tooth and nail. They really had to they have to give it their all in order to make the NBA Finals. And I just feel like with this chance coming around again, it's pretty much going to be the same thing. I think again the Boston Celtics, They're a talented team. They have the players, but it's just something about Jimmy Buckets, man. I really appreciate the guys who I like the guys who don't necessarily get appreciated the most, but they always continue to ball and step up to the plate when it matters the most. So I'm taking watch a couple more clips from the game, and I'm taking the Miami Heat to win this one, man. It's just something about them. Again, I know I'm a Lakers fan. I don't like the Celtics, but I love the intensity from the Heat. And this is pure Miami basketball. You're down big in the game. Clutch shot by Victor Oladipo. You're down big in the game. You come back, and the Boston Celtics they kind of had a chance late in the game. They kept getting to the foul line. We see Jaylen Brown with the fadeaway right here. I believe that was right after the turnover that they had as well. But again, Jimmy Buckets, here he is, fadeaway. Makes it. Jason Tatum's face. You know what I mean? I just love the poise and resilience. I love composure from athletes who can show, what it means to be the best through thick and thin. Jason Tatum here makes it 3. Again, so I got the Miami Heat making the NBA Finals, coming out the East, and that will conclude for that statement. But going on transition to the Western Conference, we have the Golden State Warriors facing the Dallas Mavericks. Game 1 is tonight. I'm really excited for this matchup as well. And, just transition over this, I want to kind of take a trip to memory lane a little bit. We all remember the last 5 years when the Golden State Warriors, I shouldn't say the last 5 years, but it was about 4 to 5 years, the Golden State Warriors they reigned supreme in the Western Conference, in the NBA, with Steph Curry clearly being either the second best player behind LeBron James or maybe the best player himself, and Kevin Durant. Those are always the top 3 without a doubt. We remember those years. And, in the last couple of years, again, it's been – who was it? The Milwaukee Bucks last year facing off against the Phoenix Suns. And it was different. It was different to see. We remember when LeBron James had made it to the NBA Finals for 8 years in a row, and everyone kept saying, "Oh my gosh, it's this team again, the Golden State Warriors versus the Cleveland Cavaliers, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4." And majority of the times, 3 out of 4, the Golden State won those series, those finals. But the thing I like about this year is that the thing I like about this year is that it's wide. It's wide, and what I mean by wide is it's really diverse when it comes towards the NBA. A lot of teams, it's not necessarily just the automatically Los Angeles Lakers in the NBA Finals as we didn't see this year versus the Brooklyn Nets. Because when you think of those two teams, you think of the star players, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. You think of those two players, so. And the pieces that they have around them, Seth Curry, the Ben Simmons, if you want to call him a piece, I'm joking. But the Carmelo Anthony's and whatnot, Russell Westbrook. So automatically on paper, you think those two teams should possibly make it at least compete for an NBA championship. That's not always the case. And it's good to see, I should say, the spread in the NBA, disparity, if that's the right word, in the NBA, because, hey, it's not always a give and take. It's not always an automatic, sense who's going to make it to the finals. And it wasn't like that for those years that I mentioned when the Cleveland Cavaliers kept making it, the Golden State Warriors, So although Golden State is somewhat here again in the Western Conference, it's cool to see a Luka Doncic, leading the Dallas Mavericks close to the NBA Finals, which they haven't been in almost 11 years. It's neat to see the Miami Heat, although they won 2 years ago, no one really gave them credit because it was a bubble championship in Orlando down the street because they're in Miami. It's really neat to see. It's neat to see these teams. It's neat to see these teams compete for NBA championship. Even the Boston Celtics, they've been competing. They've been in the conference finals, a lot the last few years. I think 4 out of 5 years they've been in the conference finals. But at the same time, it's cool to see those young guys flourish in Tatum and Brown. So, that's just something I want to say real quick before transitioning to the Golden State Warriors facing off against the Dallas Mavericks. And, for me with this series, it's about how do you respond in the moment? How do you respond in the moment? And the moment is when, Golden State, they're going to be rocking in San Francisco. It's going to be loud. It's a Wednesday night. This is the first conference finals they had since they had Draymond in his prime, Klay Thompson in his prime. Steph's he's always in his prime, you know what I mean? So it's going to be the first time they really had these 3 together since the Western Conference Finals, and I believe it was, 2018 season when they ended up advancing against the Toronto Raptors. So it's going to be really neat to see. And every time Steph makes a 3, the crowd goes ballistic. That's what I remember when I was, a young adult, I should say, watching those playoff series from the last 5 years. So it's going to be really cool to see them face off against a Dallas team and Luka Doncic, which I have to be honest, guys, I wasn't that sold on Luka yet. I feel like he was a really good player, but for me, you gotta show the same type of wherewithal in the postseason that you do in the regular season. And Luka Doncic, he wasn't winning in the postseason yet. He wasn't doing much. But again, I'm gonna show the greatest moments that we got. Sponsored again by the NBA, or I should say, brought to you by the NBA. I'm using these highlights. I don't want to get in trouble or anything like that. But I'm gonna show some of these highlights from the Warriors and the Mavericks, the best moments this year that they have, because it's definitely been a great season for both teams. And again, I'm excited to see what these teams bring to the table. Again, that's Luka Doncic. Luka's had a great year. Again, 28 points a game, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. We see right here, I think these are these two teams playing, if I'm not mistaken. Andrew Wiggins, also an all-star. You got to look out for him as well. Yeah, it is. Steph Curry lays it up, makes a shot. So some of these clips are from like earlier in the season when they both played, but and I believe that they played 4 times. I don't know. I think Golden State had beat them 3 out of 4 times, if I'm not mistaken. But again, I got Golden State win this series. I just feel like with the Warriors, it's just experience, man. Also, Steve Kerr's going to be back in the lineup, or I should say on the sideline, coaching for this team. We understand that Steve Kerr, again, he has the 3 championships with this team, and although Mark Jackson kind of was the one that really exposed or put on the map Steph Curry and Klay Thompson about them being the best splash brothers of all time, or being the best backcourt of all time. Steve Kerr, I feel like he took it to the next level. He took it to the next level. So he definitely has to be one of the best coaches in NBA history. So he's going to be on the sidelines, for them as well. And it's just going to be really exciting to see, what exactly the Warriors bring to the table. We've seen what Chris Paul did in the Phoenix Suns. They were up, I believe, 3-2 against that team in the against the Dallas Mavericks, and Luka and them, they just went off. They blew them out. They were up by 40, 45 points in Game 7. It was just humiliating. It was they're making memes and everything, about that game. So I don't think that's going to be the case. A lot of people are saying they trapped Chris Paul. I don't think you could really trap Steph Curry because he's great without the basketball. He's a little bit younger than Chris Paul. He can shoot from anywhere. So it's going to be a lot, as far as the strategizing that Jason Kidd and the Mavericks are going to do, it's going to be a lot tougher to really strategize against a Warriors team who are great off the ball. And, by off the ball, people that don't know, it's like if I don't have the ball in my hands, how am I going to continue to score? If I'm not dribbling the ball up the court, how am I going to continue to score? What exactly am I going to do? When it comes towards the Warriors, they have expertise in that. As far as that, Klay Thompson, the best off the ball shooter as well, or spot up shooter, I should say, of all time. He hasn't necessarily looked like Klay for the most part, but he still can give you a lot of points. He can still give you 30, 20, 25 points, if need be, if it comes to it. And again, Jason Tatum and these guys, when it comes towards the NBA and the Eastern Conference, my final predictions, I got Golden State making the finals. I think they're going to do well against Luka and the Dallas Mavericks. I just feel like they're going to get out coached in the end. And it's no knock towards Jason Kidd again. Again, these are some of the highlights, but it's no knock towards Jason Kidd. I just feel like, hey, when it comes to this, man, the Golden State Warriors, they're just on another level. I don't think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be necessarily a blowout or anything like that each game, but I just got them really winning in five or six games, to be honest. I just can't see Dallas, really stepping up to the plate and really. I don't know if they're going to live in a moment. And like I mentioned, bringing in, this segment, it's about living in the moment. I feel like those moments are going to be really helped by Steph Curry and these guys. It's really the experience, the Draymond Greens, and this season of time, and making adjustments when you need to. I just feel like Golden State has too much firepower, and they have the coach to prove it. So, all that being said, guys, that's pretty much what I have today for tonight. We have a special guest tomorrow, somebody who I always work with, and when it comes towards the Jessica Networks, also the Jessica Networks, a sports broadcasting company that I'm with as well. We try to continue to bring in more interns all around the country. We probably got to think maybe over 100 interns, over the country, from Alabama to Texas Tech, to things of that nature, or I should say other schools as well. But so I got somebody, the host, coming on tomorrow. We're going to talking about one of his favorite teams. And what does he have to look forward towards them because they're just an awful team. They've been an awful teams for the last 20 years, maybe 10 to 15. But the point though is that I appreciate you guys coming on and continue to support the Speak Up Sports. Last week kind of had the flu, so we had to postpone it to this week. But just like my dad said, every Wednesday and Thursday at 8 Eastern, 7 ET over there in Missouri, 7 Central Time, I should say. We're gonna come on and talk sports. Again, if you guys want to come on and talk with me as well, every Thursday I'm trying to have some type of interview. When it comes towards me, I don't care what the topic's about. Anything sports related is cool with me. So I love talking sports when it comes to football, basketball, boxing, golf, whatever it is. So just come on with me. I'm an easy guy to talk to. We can talk sports. And again, that's every Thursday when it comes towards the interview-wise. Wednesdays, I'm trying to give you my own critique, let you feed off of what I'm dishing y'all, and we'll go from there. Other than that, guys, have a blessed day, and I'll see you soon.